Hey there, Chadi Bazzi here, and welcome to another episode of the Top Listing Agent Show. Today we have someone who's returning on the show. His first episode, totally got so many downloads. There's been a great demand to bring him on and continue the conversation. He's a gentleman that really doesn't need any introduction in the real estate world, as he's making a very large impact on the whole entire industry. And that is Mr. Ricky Carruth. Mr. Ricky Carruth, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, guys?
And this is going to be a different kind of episode. For the first time ever, we have a co-host here, one of my best friends, someone I call an angel, someone that's responsible for a lot of my successes, friend, coach, mentor to a lot of very famous names that we're not going to disclose today because of NDAs, and also a coach of our listings on demand, and that's Jesika Miller, the Mind Trainer.
Hello.
Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you.
Good. So Ricky, man, good to have you on here, man. Thanks for carving out the time. I know you're all about contribution, and we're going to give a lot of contribution today. And we're going to have, for some people that are living underneath a rock that never heard the name Ricky Carruth, can you just introduce yourself and walk us through a little bit of your journey and how you got here, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, what a journey. It's where do I begin on something like that? I get all this, tell your story thing. I like to try to compress it as much as I can. I don't know. I grew up roofing houses. I've been selling real estate for 20 years. I failed a history class in college and got into real estate. Made a lot, lost a lot, went bankrupt, sleeping in my car, went back to roofing, got back in real estate in 2008. By 2014, I was the number one RE/MAX agent in Alabama. By that time, I closed 100 deals for the first time in 2014. So this year, I'm on track to do 100 deals for the 8th straight year. So I'm still selling. Right. And I'm a single agent with one assistant in terms of that business. And in 2017, I kind of quit building that business and kind of started relying on past clients and referrals to continue that momentum. And I decided to write 2 books to share my story, share my journey, share my thoughts. And those books kind of took off. And then before I knew it, I was coaching. And then eventually I became the world's first completely free coach. And I've just been kind of riding that wave, and I use that to build my personal brand. And now I'm in a position where I'm building different businesses and stuff off the personal brand, which is very interesting and fun. So kind of, fate and destiny kind of just whirled around and brought me to boom right here on Chadi Bazzi's podcast.
I love it, man. Well, we're very honored that you're here. And one thing I love about you, Ricky, is how you always show up. And it seems to me like you're always, laser focused. You're always high energy. You're always motivated, and not just for yourself, but, that energy just trickles off and people just feed off of it. And it's a huge inspiration. And I'm just curious, what is it? What is it that just keeps that drive, that motivation to where you're always on?
I don't know, man. I think DNA has a lot to do with it. I think, when you're a visionary, right, and you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that end of the tunnel is 4 years off. And you know that if you really do this really hard for the next 4 years, you're going to be in this really incredible place in 4 years. It drives you to want to do that at a very high level. I know that the seeds that I'm planting are 4 years out from blossoming, and it's all the hard work you do, you almost feel like you're working for free, right? You're just really just grinding it out. And the amount of effort you're putting in, you're not really getting out what you're putting in, but if you're a visionary, that that's going to pay off times a million in 4 years. And so that's kind of what keeps me moving at a high level. But everybody loves a hard worker, is what I learned through my real estate business, and watching how clients interact with me. Once they meet me face to face, we talk on the phone, they get my marketing material, and then we meet face to face, and it's they treat me like I'm family, because they have so much trust in me through the credibility I showed them through being a hard worker and doing what I say I'm going to do, calling them, emailing them, doing all that stuff. And it just, people feed off that. So when you translate that to the coaching business and other businesses, right? it's like you kind of learn what attracts people, and what motivates people and what drives people. And then it just feeds off itself. So I see people get motivated by what I do. It makes me want to do it even more. Right. And then they get more motivated because they see me doing it more. And then, it's a constant cycle of me motivating people and then people motivating me in return, And so it's just this vicious cycle that just, it's like a snowball. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger as we go along here. Where it ends, nobody knows, kind of deal, But I feel like I'm in my prime as far as business is concerned. And so I'm taking advantage of every last, I'm going to squeeze it for every single drop that it's worth right this second, So that's kind of where I'm at.
Awesome. Jessica, you got a follow-up question to that, right?
I mean, you kind of already answered like what I was going to ask. It's exactly what I tell everybody when the bottom line of motivation is always keeping your eye on where you want to be. And that's what keeps people motivated. And the people that are not motivated lose track of where it is that they're going, because at some point they saw where they wanted to go. And if they continue to have that vision and hold that strongly in their mind, they will continue to be effortlessly motivated on a daily basis. The thing is, a lot of people, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, what's so funny about that is when we compare that to the real estate industry, right? You got new agents getting in the business and they say to themselves when they're getting in the business, they're kind of in their mind saying, this is going to be my career, right? This is going to be my 30-year career. I want to be in this for 30 years, 25 years, 20 years, 40 years. And they get in and they literally quit 6 months in. And it's like, you said you were going to do this for 30 years and you're going to quit 6 months in. And I tell new agents, it's like, I don't care if it takes you 3 years to get to your first deal and you really get this thing down. You still got 27 years to crush it. Once you've got it figured out, 3 years is actually nothing. It's not going to take 3 years to get to your first deal. It's not going to take, that long to get going, of course, unless you're just not going to make it. I mean, 90% of agents fail, but it just blows my mind when I see people quit after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months in the business, when they originally got in the business for this 30-year career. It's just mind boggling to me.
Well, originally they got in, they saw that vision. So I think what people want to know, what a lot of agents want to know is, as you said, right now, the momentum feeds the momentum. And it's very easy when you're already successful to continue to be successful because you already have results to feed on. When you're a newer agent, what inspired you and what do you recommend to people that can keep them motivated? Because, people do these David Goggins and this, let me be hardcore, let me do this, let me do all this stuff. And then what ends up happening is they end up falling off and feeling like a failure. So those kind of things I feel like are not sustainable. But what is it that someone can do, that's sustainable in the beginning to keep them going until they reach that point of momentum?
Well, I think they need to look at the accumulation, right, of business. So these little bitty things add up to be so huge, right? This is one thing that keeps me going as well. But, for example, one of my big things is create 5 new friends or property owners every day. Okay. Which is easy to go out there one day and do that. To do it every day for 4 years, really tough. But think about where you would be. Because if you do 5 a day for 4 years, that's 100 in a week, 5 days a week, 100 in a month, 1,200 in a year, 24, 36, 48. Think about how big your business would be if you had 4,800 property owners you talked to, you made friends with, you follow that up with your weekly email you do to your whole database or whatever you do to build your brand. Think about how massive your business would be if you make these great first impressions on a daily basis and follow that up with some kind of system that continues to build your brand from that point where they never forget about that great first impression and they know you're there to help them. You're not trying to high pressure them. Think about how big your business would be at that 4 years. You're probably going to be the number one agent in your market, all off of just creating 5 new friends or property owners every day, not even trying to sell anybody anything, really. That's how massive your business could be. And agents, listen, agents get in. I talked to a new agent today. Okay, listen to this one. He's almost through his first year, really down on himself. And I'm like, well, have you sold anything? I'm thinking this dude hasn't sold nothing. And he's like, I made 35,000. And I literally went off on him. And I was like, do you know how much I made my first year? 20,000. You almost doubled my production in my first year. and you're very like, you're complaining about this right now. It's crazy. His goal was 150. And I'm like, you set a goal to do something in a business, nothing about, nothing about how much effort it's going to take for you to do that 150. You set this crazy goal based on nothing. And now you're sad because you made 35,000 when that was double what I made my first year. And I'm one of the top agents in the country. What is wrong with you, guy? People don't listen. This is the problem. People don't look at the other factors. They only look at, I made this much money, when they're not figuring in, I learned how to write a contract worth $1 million. I would say just to learn how to write a contract for your whole career is worth $1 million to you, cash money in your pocket. To learn how to work MLS, $1 million. To learn how to go through a transaction, worth $1 million. To learn how to communicate, worth $1 million. To build your database and create let's say you created 400 relationships your first year. That's worth millions of dollars. You really made like $5-10 million in your first year. It's just not on your tax returns, right? The knowledge you gain and the experience and going through everything. Now you're in a place where your second year, you might hit that 150, maybe hit 250 the next year and 500. I don't know what the progression is going to be. Everybody's different. But why are we not looking at the millions of dollars in our pocket that we're going to gain over the next 20 years from the knowledge we gained in our first year? You made $5 million that year, not 35,000. They're just looking at it wrong.
Right. So Ricky, and I think one of the challenges is, I totally understand your concept, and I'm a very advocate of it, 5 a day, 10 a day, whatever the number is that you're comfortable with. And of course, the more the merrier. And over time, that can totally, put you in a position to where you are the number one agent in your marketplace. However, a lot of people, what they're doing is they're doing, like, for example, like circle dialing, okay, or just listed or just sold, those kind of methods. And, with that, for most people, that takes a long time for them to get their first transaction, and all of a sudden they're out of money before they get their next transaction. Should that be the place that they begin, or should they be doing something different to secure that transaction much sooner, to be able to sustain them, financially, to keep going with this 30-year career objective?
See, the thing is this, man. Like, I have an agent, he made 3,800 circle prospecting dials and he closed 20 properties. And it was like over the course of like 6 or 7 months, right? 3,800 calls. I got another guy, he made 14,000 calls before he got to his first listing. And he was calling expireds and circle prospect. He was doing it all. 14,000 calls. So everybody's different. So I can't sit here and say, okay, this is what this is what the whole industry should be thinking about, because it's so specific to each agent. Each agent has a different set of skills and gift of gabs and work ethics and, expectations and, nervousness and stuff like that. So yeah, like, I'm a very high advocate of diversifying your prospecting portfolio, right? I want you to circle prospect today and do old expires tomorrow, do new expires the next day, do for sale by owners the next day, do internet leads the next day, do sphere of influence the next day, do past clients the next day, do circle prospect the next day. Every day, I would love for you to do a different lead source, a different lead type, and diversify your efforts, especially as a new agent, until you find your footing. Let's really diversify. Of course, let's concentrate a whole day on one. Let's not do like 10 call circle, 10 call expire. Let's do a whole day of one, and then tomorrow do a whole day of another one, and do that for like months and months and months and months and almost a year, to really try to narrow down what your favorite 2 or 3 avenues of prospecting is. And then we still want to stay diversified. You never really want to just go down to just one. When you're building your business, you want to stay diversified with your prospecting efforts.
I'm glad that we unpacked that, because a lot of people, what they do is they put all their eggs in one basket and they choose the one, whichever one it is. And you go to the one that's the path of least resistance for them, the easiest one to do. And then all of a sudden, that may be the one that takes a little bit longer for you to produce your first transaction, et cetera. And I think a lot of people don't really think about something that you said is like, hey, everybody is different. Everybody has a different skill set. And most people come into this industry with just, they say, I got people skills. And, people skills so far. You need strategies, you need skills, et cetera. So I'm glad that we unpacked that. Can we talk a little bit about skills?
About skills?
How important are selling skills specifically in real estate?
Yeah, and you know, just to go back for a second, I had a guy. He was on a couple weeks ago. I do live calls on my YouTube. He he's circle prospected and got a listing in his first month. You know, it's you just never know, right? You just never know. You got to get in there and shake it up and see what happens. But I tell you what the number one factor is that I've seen, and that's confidence. Right? If you're not confident in yourself, you're not confident in making the calls, if you're not confident in the industry, if you're not confident in the market, you know, if there's any kind of uncertainty for you, if you're not confident even, you know, by the slightest, then it's going to be hard to make anything work because your prospect's going to pick up on that lack of confidence, whether it's a lack of confidence in yourself or maybe your intentions to help them, or that you don't think, you're scared that you have to close this one because there's not any more. Because a lot of new agents, you know, they only think there's enough to go around. There's not enough to go around. They have to try to close every client, and it's just not the case. You know, it's unlimited. You cannot get to every single deal ever. You could work 24/7, 365 the rest of your life and never even scratch the surface per market of finding all the loyal clients in every market for every single agent. But as far as skill levels, listen, I'm kind of one of these, you know, polar opposites of the traditional, you know, coaching realm and stuff. Like my thing is the number one skill for me, right? And you know, like, because the objective is, okay, you know, for most agents, trainers, coaches, is to get a listing appointment, to get a listing, to get a sale, to close a deal, all this stuff. For me, none of that's going to happen unless one thing happens. And that is that they, as the prospect and the client and the human in our market looking to do business, feels comfortable with us. Until they feel comfortable enough with me to do business, there's not going to be a listing appointment, a listing, a closing, a showing. None of that's going to happen. So I have to break that barrier first. So the number one objective for me in sales is to make my client or customer or prospect feel comfortable with me as a person.
How do you
right?
do
Just
that?
as a, what's that?
How do you do that?
Simply by this, being comfortable with them.
Because you mentioned something, which is what I've kind of pounded into the heads of clients and many of Chadi's clients. And you've mentioned it over and over again. And you've talked about contribution. Now, my thing is being here to serve. And by serving, you get everything. See, people go into an appointment, like you said, all about them. The person is hiring you to be all about them. And salespeople are coming in all about themselves, right? I need to make this sale. I need to make this. I have to hit these numbers. I need to pay my bills. I need to be, I need to be that. And the seller is expecting, I want this person to serve me because I'm paying them. And there's incongruency in the energy, right? Between the two people, because that person is there for themselves. And they want something out of somebody that's trying to serve themselves. And that doesn't work. When you come from a place of, I am here to serve, and you let go of what the outcome is going to be, the focus becomes on how to serve the client.
Yeah.
And then that creates the trust.
No,
so
it's a good point.
I noticed that you're now doing this, your free real estate coach, right? Chadi explained a little bit to me. And it's through your contributions now that things come easier. Right. There's a lot less effort. And people think that, you know, I think we're taught in sales, right? Like, you work for this, you make this amount of money, time is money, and I got to get paid. But there's a big part of the equation that people are missing is the contribution portion, that by contributing and truly being of service, it's like it quantum leaps your business in ways maybe you couldn't have imagined.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen
that.
overnight. You know,
Correct.
That's the thing people can't swallow. Okay, if I work for free and I don't get anything this week, then I lost. When really the work you did for free manifests into, you know, like you say, 4 times what you thought it would over the course of 6 months. Now, what you said was interesting because it goes back to traditional coaching and scripts. Because traditionally it's like, hey, Mr. Seller, you don't know me, I don't know you. Okay, but will you sell your house so I can make some money? That's what traditional scripts are saying. Hey, you know, you interested in selling your house? Would you sell your house? Oh, no. Well, what if I could get you this price? Would you sell it then? Do you know anybody? All that stuff. when, you know, that's all focused around, okay, what can the client do for the agent? And what I'm saying is with my scripts, it's like, hey, listen, let me bring you some value. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but a house around the corner sold. Didn't know if you knew that or not, but let me tell you this information and then ask you simply, is there anything I can do to help you? Right? I'm a real estate agent. I help people buy and sell real estate. Is there anything I can do to use my services to help you? And I want to 180 that entire situation away from what the prospect can do for the agent, but what the agent can do for the prospect. Right. But no, it goes back to how to make people feel comfortable with you comes down to being comfortable with them. They're going to start being comfortable with you. If you're not comfortable, if you're nervous, if you're, you know, trembling, if you're scared, if you're not certain, if you're not confident in what you're doing, then they're going to pick up on that. They're going to be uncomfortable. But if you're confident, if you're comfortable with them in these awkward situations where you're talking to somebody you don't know, and you feel confident that, listen, I don't know this person, but I'm confident that I want to help this person. They're going to feel that. They're going to start to feel comfortable with you. Then when you tag on everything you just added, which is not expecting anything in return, right? I'm just here to help them and not expect anything in return. That's when magic happens. Now, are you going to get every single listing? No. I don't care what system you have. When you're competing against other agents, you're not going to win every single listing appointment. No, there's no system that's going to be 100%, you know, batting average. I'm sorry. So if that's the case, I'm not going to win them all. What can I do to put myself in the position to at least win the most? Okay. That's what I have to think about. How can I be the highest probability here? And when I look at the general population of people through all the sales that I've been in, it seems like to me that people want people who are down to earth, who work hard, who are consistent and dependable and honest and professional, and are really looking out for them, not just their self. And when they can really feel that in your tone, that you're there to help them, not just to make a commission, then you have the best chance, in my opinion, to win that listing or to, you know, represent that buyer or whatever the case may be. So all very valid points.
You know,
I also think when you mentioned the again with the confidence and people not being confident and all the things that they come into which makes people not confident in their ability to sell their home. Again, confidence goes back to being all about yourself. When you're not confident, unconsciously, you're also saying, I'm all about me and I'm more concerned about how I appear and how I discern than about the client's needs. So there's it's not just about not being confident and coming off as not confident. People don't think you're doing the job. You're also telling them I'm all about me and I'm not about you.
Yeah, exactly.
More confident. Exactly. And the question is how, you know, there's somebody out there right now, like, you know, there's somebody that, you know, brought up the question just a little bit ago before we got on this podcast. And this person is like crippled in fear. How do they overcome that fear? Obviously, you know, if you're confident, you really don't have a fear around where you have confidence. So how do you
being of service? Yeah. Again, by being of service, when you get out of yourself and you're being of service, right? When you're there, like if you have no attachment to the outcome, there's no sense, you don't need to be confident.
That is a very good point.
You're not attached to what happens. You're just saying, I'm here to call these people because I want to help this person. And whatever happens, great. You don't need to be.
You're speaking my language, you know. Yeah, Chadi's right. You're like an angel that came down and said, you know, here's what I think. But like, here's the thing, Chadi. When somebody says, I'm scared, somebody's trembling in fear, and I'm so scared about making calls, about doing this, about doing that. My very first question is, what are you so scared of? Give me the root of the problem. What are you scared of? And the most frequent answer to that question is always what?
Rejection.
No, it's I don't know.
Oh.
They always say, I don't know what I'm scared of. That's what they tell me it's like every time without fail. And then I say, so wait a minute, you're in this business, and the whole premise of this business that you work so hard to get into is to talk to people you don't know and help them buy and sell real estate. But you're scared to talk to people you don't know to help them buy and sell real estate for reasons unknown. That's what you're telling me. It just makes zero sense. And I say, listen, give me something. Don't just tell me you don't know. Give me something. And then they say rejection. And I say, rejection of what? Rejection, who rejected who, what, when, where, and why? There's no such thing. What people are perceiving as rejection, what people think rejection is actually just their prospect telling them what the prospect wants to do. When they're like, when you call them and they're like, Oh God, another realtor. I'm not selling my house, man. Okay. It's like, good, sir. By the way, that's not why I was calling you, and I'm not trying to get you to sell your house. Okay. So now we got that out of the way. Can we move on to what I actually called about? I'm not calling you to sell your house, just so you know. I'm calling to give you this information and bring you some value, and then just ask if there simply is anything I can do to help you. Since now I know you don't want to sell your house and probably not buy anything based on your tone, is there an agent you would work with if you were to do something? And I'd love to stay in touch. It's like you got to stand pretty firm, be confident on your intentions and why you're doing this, and kind of give these people, give it back to them a little bit. But the rejection is not rejection. The objections are not objections, right? They're like, oh, well, I might do something in 6 months. Don't try to figure out a way to get them to close today. Ask them why they're looking to do something in 6 months, and come up with a game plan between now and then that results in exactly what they're looking to do. Help them do what they're trying to do. The reason why I've sold so much and been so successful in the real estate sales business and really all my businesses is because I just help people do what they're already doing. I don't try to get them to do what I want them to do or do something different. I want to know what they're looking to do, what their timeline is, and I want to help them come up with a game plan to help them achieve just that.
And I think it's also helping people reframe in their mind. First of all, if they're there to serve, they're, like I said, there's less, whatever, to the outcome. You're less attached to the outcome. But also, if the person in your mind, you say, oh, they didn't need my help, let me move on and make a call to the next person who's looking for my help. Yeah. As opposed to making it about you and the rejection. It's like, oh, because in your mind, when you say, oh, they didn't need my help, but I feel like giving my help, let me just go find the next person who needs my help. There's just less attachment to this rejection and all these childhood things and all these things that conjure up negative emotions that take people down this emotional rabbit hole of bad things that have happened in their life.
Yeah.
Instead of just reframing it in a different way.
No, it's good. It's good. It's good. Good commentary here, guys.
This is awesome. Ricky, a question. So somebody, I'm going to go back to the just listed, just sold circle dieting, just that one aspect of it, because, there's a lot of people that really don't have any for sale by owners or any expireds in their marketplace. And we tell them to call old expireds and all that good stuff. But specifically around just listed, just sold, circle prospecting, what are, besides like just, serving people, etc., what are some of the mistakes that people are making that prevent them from getting, a result sooner? And we're talking now to someone that's, zero fear-based, very confident, within themselves. They're showing up, they're doing the work, and they're just thinking like, how can I get a little bit more out of this? So many contacts that I'm already making. Yeah.
So when you say result, you mean a closing, I'm guessing.
An appointment to begin with.
Appointment,
closing, listing.
Listen, here's the thing. It's diversification of your prospecting, okay? Okay, now what's the easiest appointments to set?
That's client center of influence?
Well, I mean, outside of your sphere, what's the easiest appointments to set?
In my opinion, and what I do is a first sale.
Exactly. So if you're having a problem setting appointments, right, it goes back to diversification. Call circle prospecting, call expireds, call for sale by owners, right? You're going to get some appointments somewhere. I'm sorry. I mean, if you don't get appointments, if you're calling for sale by owners and you can't get one to say, sure, come look at my house, okay, and you've called 20 of them, then we need to sit down and reevaluate what we're doing and what your tone is and what the script is. I mean, something's going on here, okay? These people are trying to sell. They want to sell. Oh, but they don't need us right now because the market's so hot and they got 4 offers yesterday. Good. Where are you moving to? Do you have an agent you're working with on that? Tell me more about that and see. Let me know if there's something I could do to help you there. We're too one-dimensional is the problem, right? People are just focused on getting the listing of that for sale by owner or setting an appointment with an expired. They call it expired. They're solely focused on that house. It's like you call old expired and the expired says, we sold it back then. We sold it by owner or relisted it, sold it, whatever. And the agent's like, okay, well, have a good day. It's like, wait a minute. Like, well, wait a second. What happened there? Where'd you move? How do you like it? What you got going on now? Is there anything I can do to help you at this present time? Let's keep the conversation going and find out what's going on here, right? So I think agents just aren't going deep enough with their conversations. They're too one-dimensional as far as the result. You always got to have dual purpose. Okay. You always got to have two reasons of why you're calling. Okay. Our primary reason is to try to see what's going on with that house to see if there's a possibility to relist it. But when that falls through, we're still going to try to see if there's another opportunity and or try to at least make a great first impression to collect that data to continue building our brand with this person. Right. So you have all these backup reasons of why you're doing this. It's like you get a listing and then you want to call the subdivision to try to sell the listing. Most agents will call that subdivision trying to sell that listing. Right. And they won't sell it. And they'll say, well, I wasted all that time. But I'm like, I'm calling the subdivision to let them know about the listing, see if they might know anybody that wants to buy it, but also see how they're doing and see what they think about things and see if I can create a relationship with them to do some future business. Hell, I call the subdivision. I get 6 new great conversations and email addresses, out of this. I didn't sell the house, but I got 6 new future clients. So you got to think more than one dimension. I think we're thinking too one-dimensional. Just focused on that one single outcome when really there's a plethora of different outcomes that could happen. On top of the fact that we're not going deep enough with our conversations to really ask the questions of what's going on now? How can I help there? What's going on here? How do you like it there? Kind of thing, So I think going deeper, having our eyes open for more than just the one result we're looking for will really help people, take their prospecting to another level.
I love it. Lots of nuggets here. I love it. So Ricky, I am just like you. I'm a complete advocate, and our scripts are very similar in terms of the opening. It's not about setting the appointment. It's not about getting the listing. It's all about one of our first questions in the script. Just call to find out how I can help you. That's what it's all about. Okay. And what I love about that approach, is it puts you in a position to where you're completely unique from all the competition. Because I know there's, a lot of agents, like everybody else is calling the same people. I'm calling all day, every single day. How do I separate myself? And that is one area of separation, is because the response you're getting is a reflection of your approach. If your approach is all about you, then guess what? It's going to totally, just like totally blow up in your face. So we're going to go back to the skills. Okay. People use scripts. They need a starting point. Okay. Everybody needs, a lot of people say, I need a script, that kind of gives them confidence to begin the activity. And then what they really don't understand is that there's got to come a time to where you get off the script, because then your new complaint is going to be, I sound a little bit robotic. This doesn't sound, like, et cetera, kind of thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. How often should a person be practicing the art and science of becoming a better communicator?
Well, I mean, listen, I've never been big on role playing and stuff like that. I think that the best practice is on your prospects. You'll never talk to every single person in your market. Okay. And, people just, when you talk to a prospect, you're never going to see that person or talk to that person ever again. If they see you in a grocery store, they're not going to know you were the one that called them. Okay. People are just have this, this thing in their mind. But look, if you're in the beginning stages and you're still trying to iron out that script to make it sound non-scripty and organic and, flow and have the right tones and be able to keep engagement, all these things are really important. And the best way to do it is by practicing. So, I mean, I'm a big, believer in the 9 to 12, make your calls from 9 to 12 every day. In the beginning stages, of course, every day. As you get busier, trim it back to 3 times a week. As you get busier and busier and busier, it gets where you can't make as many calls because you're busy. That's why you're making calls, because, you want to build your business to the point where you're closing deals. And eventually we get to that point. Then we have to figure out how to balance it all out, hire an assistant to buy some more time to make some more calls if we want to take our business to the next level. But that's a whole nother podcast, right? What we're talking about is scripting and trying to get to that level where we can make it sound organic. Well, the bottom line is this, man. You just got to practice on your prospects. I mean, because you'll never be able to.
You got to get those reps in. You'll
never be able to replicate a real live conversation through role play. Role play is like an artificial, You know, it's just not real until you do the real thing. Because there's more than just the role play. Because when you role play, all right, when you role play, you feel pretty comfortable. Like if you're a new agent, you know, you're normally nervous on the phone. You're not really that nervous when you're role playing, right? And so it's not really an accurate simulation, you know, because that nervousness is part of it. You know, that's part of trying to get better, is going through that, not just the words that you're speaking, you know what I mean? But like what you have to do when you dive into the depth of my script. All right. So let me go through that, and then maybe you'll understand better. In the beginning of the script, I've got 3 questions. And the reason why there's 3 questions is because I'm trying to read my prospect. I'm listening. I'm collecting data. I'm trying to figure out if they're busy, mad, glad, sad, what's going on with them. I'm listening to how they're breathing, right? And so the thing is hello, hey, Mr. Johnson. And I'm listening. They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, hey, this is Ricky Carruth at whatever real estate company in whatever area. How you doing today? So how you doing today is the second one. I'm listening. I'm trying to see how they're reacting and stuff so I can figure out how to take this conversation and flow it the best. Then I don't have enough data quite, and I don't want to dive right into the sales thing. So I want to ask a third one just to collect all the data I possibly can. It's like, cool. Well, listen, I'm enjoying the day. Like, let's see. Hey, Mr. Johnson. Hey, Mr. Johnson, it's Ricky Carruth. How you doing? Cool. Yeah. Me too. I'm enjoying the day. Isn't it gorgeous? Or whatever. Listen, it's raining cats and dogs out there. You're staying dry. Man, it's cold out there. You guys staying warm. I don't know what do you think about them Saints? You getting ready for New Year's? How was your Thanksgiving? Something. And that third question, and I see how they react there. Now I've got a very good gauge. I've got them dialed in at this point where I know exactly how this conversation is going to go all the way to the end. I can tell by their friendliness or their shortness or whatever, right? And then I dive into, here's the transition, because once I hit those 3 questions, now I have a transition. So when you hit the transitions, and when you get the transitions down and you know how to stick the transitions, then you start getting really good at the flow, because you can take these awkward silence moments and turn them into an engaging, flowing situation. So it's like, I'm enjoying the day, isn't it gorgeous? So like, yeah, they're kind of thinking, why the heck are you calling, stuff like this? And they're like, yeah, I'm doing, whatever. It's like, cool. Well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time today. That's the transition right there. Cool. Listen, well, look, I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but a house around the corner from you just sold. Didn't know if there's anything in the world I could do for you. Right. And so like I hit that transition just right. I collected my data in the beginning, hit the transition. Now I'm giving them market information, value, and respecting their time, and asking if there's something I can do to help them, not try to sell them or ask them to sell their house. Boom. Now they tell me what they want to do. We're not looking to do anything. What are you talking about? Yeah, we're looking to do something, whatever they say. But at the end of the day, here's my next transition, because they may say, nah, we're good. We're good. Kind of trying to get off the phone. It's like, okay, well, listen, man, is there an agent you would work with if you were to do something? That's my next transition. I'm transitioning from that awkward moment where most people don't know what to do into something very productive. It's like, okay, well, cool. Listen, man, is there an agent you would work with if you were to do something? No, well, cool, man. I'm sure at some point in the future, you're going to do something, maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. I don't know. I'd love the opportunity to work with you when that day comes. Would it be all right if I just stayed in touch? So then I ask them if it's okay to stay in touch before asking for any information. When they commit to saying, sure, they're thinking, I'm just going to call them from time to time or whatever. So they're like, yeah, sure, stay in touch. Cool. What's a good email for you? Great. Is this your cell number? Cool. Well, listen, again, I'm Ricky Carruth, whatever real estate company, I'm going to stay in touch with you via email. Let me know if there's ever anything I could do for you. It was so good to talk to you. Thanks for your time. Bam. Right. And so like the script that I've come up with is so deep. There's so many levels to it. It's not just some words on a paper. It's like, it's all set up for a reason to knock it out the park and make it sound very organic. You know what I mean? Because we're using the first part of 3 questions to really hear and collect data from a prospect to see which direction we need to go with the phone call. So I think you just need to learn how to stick those transitions and those awkward moments, right? And learn how to listen to your prospect, on every angle, how they're breathing, how fast they're talking, the whole 9 yards, what they're saying, right? And then just kind of think about all that and put it all together, and then just practice.
Ricky, there's somebody that's watching this or listening to this right now, and they're saying, okay, that was wonderful. Where can I get a copy of that?
Of the script?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on my website, 02diamond.com.
02diamond.com. Make sure you check it out. There's a lot of valuable information on there, and what a script has all the right. I mean, the script is all about them and makes you a winner at the end anyway. So
yeah, the whole thing is I inadvertently ask them if they want to buy or sell without asking them, and then if they do, it's like, are you working with somebody on that? Then let's go. If not, then I'd still love to stay in touch. And it's all about your tone. So when you talk to them like their family, and they feel that comfortability from you, then you're a lot more apt to get their information and stay in touch with them and build that relationship for the future. And that's how I've built the business to the point that I have, where I have all these people's data, getting a weekly email on the same day of the week forever. And, I do nothing to chase business. It all just flows to me through that weekly email. I still close my deals and have time to spend with my family, time to build other businesses. And that, my friend, is what it's all about.
Ricky, was interesting in that first transition. I think like a lot of times, like when you did that transition, it was interesting, the feeling that I got in my body, because I'm very in tune with the feelings, because the feelings obviously create the thoughts. And when you did that first transition, it was like, when you went to do the transition, I could feel myself kind of tense up.
Yeah.
Like automatically assuming you were going to go for the kill.
Right.
When you didn't go for the kill, and you transitioned after you mentioned the house being for sale, instead of saying, are you thinking about selling, which is normally where that conversation would go. And that's when I felt myself like, oh God, he's going to ask. And I started to feel kind of the anger creep up in me that maybe the prospect would feel. As soon as you said, what can I do for you? It was like the balloon and the pressure. It took like the pressure out of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
That build up, like the steam was let out.
Right.
And it was
that's
so
why I do the 3
to
questions.
recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I do the 3 questions in the beginning, because a lot of scripts are just like, how are you doing? Are you interested in selling? Or something like that. Or they just go straight into this weird, awkward thing. And it's like, we don't even have a connection yet. Why would I even list with you? I don't even know you. I'm definitely not going to give you any of my friends or family's contact information, And so the 3 questions actually builds this little cushion, right, between the beginning of the call and the sales. It's not even a sales part of the call, but as much of a sales call as it is, it builds this little cushion, this little barrier right there, and gives us a little time to breathe. A lot of agents will skip that 3rd question. They do the, how are you doing? They do the, is this Mr. Johnson? How are you doing? And they skip that 3rd part because it makes them feel weird to ask about the weather or talk about the weather or about something that's not. They feel like people just want to get right to it, and they feel like people are busy. But the thing is if you use that 3rd question, actually loosens them up. It makes the situation so much better because they start to relax, that you're not just trying to hammer them with something right then. And you're doing a little small talk. And if you do it right, if you practice enough to do it right, it's very, very effective. And then you're right. Then it's like, okay, hit the transition. Okay, a house around the corner sold. And they're like, oh God, here it comes. And you're like, I just want to see if there's something I can do to help you. And they're like, thank God he didn't try to do what every other agent has done.
It's like you deflated that pressure, and then it's harder for it to come back up again because you've already let it go.
It took me decades to figure this out.
Something else, you mentioned the way you're creating the rapport. See, a lot of people have success in their phone calls because they create rapport with people who are similar to themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And then they wonder, why am I not getting 100% of the business? You're only getting the percentage of the business that are people that are like you, because you're creating rapport off of yourself. However, in using the script that you made, it allows you to create rapport with, I want to say, almost everybody, pretty much, unless, it's an impossible or difficult scenario. So that's interesting when people ask the key question, how do I create rapport? This is the answer right here on how to create rapport, because people automatically, they're like, oh, well, I created rapport with this person. How come I can't create it with this person? Because you were talking about yourself and that person was like you and you connected on that, instead of genuinely learning how to create rapport. And this is how you do it right here.
He's listening. He's a very active listener. And
correct.
A lot of people don't
gauging
the answer because they want to get to the next question.
Yeah.
He's gauging. He's out of himself.
Right.
He's out of himself.
Your listening is the foundation to all your powers of influence. That's what people don't get is, you know, the more you listen, the better you sound when you speak.
Because people want someone who's looking out for them, right? And so the only way to look out for them is to be empathetic of their situation. And the only way to be empathetic of their situation is to listen to their situation and really digest what their situation is and then think, okay, if I were in their shoes, that's the definition of empathy. It's literally putting yourself in their shoes and knowing what they're going through and then feeling that, you know what I mean? And then your biggest tool there is listening. So no, you guys are just on fire today. You know, you guys are just hitting it from all angles.
It's also by giving them what people understand, by giving them what they want, you get what you want. You don't have to push.
You know, that's the bottom line. And that's, you know, one of the things that really, attracted me to Ricky from the get-go is because he's all about giving. I mean, he's got no expectations in return. And, you know, and here's the thing, he's doing it in different models, whether it's the coaching industry, his other business or real estate business. Take what he's doing, what you see him do in videos, all value. It's all about you. He's never asking for anything.
Right, but you see, that's how it was from the beginning.
Expires when you're calling everyone. It doesn't matter who you're calling. Let it be about them. And if you do enough of that, you will find the people that resonate with you at a higher level, and they will ask to do business with you versus you having to cut their throat to get the freaking damn appointment.
You know
people
what?
Think like, you know, okay, they're probably looking at him and he's a big agent and they're coming in getting advice from people like, oh, you do this for free and you do that free. Of course you can do it for free because you are where you are. But listening to him talk, you see he built the foundation of his business by being this person from the outset, not like, oh, you're this way. And this is what we talked about today, you know, on the coaching call is being it's being the successful person from the very beginning. And then building.
You know why you don't have to worry about expectations of them listening with you? Because closings are happening and will happen every day for the rest of your life in your market by the truckloads, no matter what the market does. If you go back to .com, 9/11, 2008, the pandemic, closings happened every single day by the truckloads during the worst moments in the market. The market is the most resilient thing out there. Nothing's going to stop it. It's just the market is going to produce, and every closing represents two opportunities, a buyer and a seller. So multiply the closings every day by two, and that's how many opportunities are happening on a daily basis in your market. It's staggering if you really step back and look in your MLS and look at the numbers of closings during last year, during the 45-day complete shutdown, 80% of the same amount of closings and new pending deals. If you look at 2008, all those years of the worst real estate market ever, how many closings were actually happening by the truckloads during that time? It's quite remarkable. So when you're in this industry where there's there's unlimited business, you can rest assured that, I mean, even as a new agent, you can walk in there with so much confidence that, listen, it's okay, mister. You can even tell the seller, listen, it's okay if you guys don't choose me. You can tell the seller, listen, guys, you know, I'm the best option. I can tell you that. And I'm going to work the hardest. But if you guys don't choose me, it's okay. Right. I'm going to go find 5 more people who want a hard worker who's going to take care of them. So, whatever you guys choose, just trust me. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm going to continue working hard to help more people because I know one thing, closings are going to happen every day. So there's an unlimited amount of business for me, and I'm going to go get mine, whether you do a list with me or not. Right. So that's another like part of it is that, okay, yeah, sure. We don't have any expectations because we're literally trying to genuinely help them. But on the flip side, one big reason why we can do that and still know that we're going to win in the end is because we know that there's an unlimited amount of business and it's never going to end.
You know, with you saying that the unlimited amount of business makes me think like people thinking how there's not that many sales in their area, right?
Right.
So when you say there's unlimited amount of business, they can go outside of their area. Then there's the limiting belief, right? That like, oh, well, there's the area expert, this, that, and the other, which brings me back to thinking like people list with people who they know, like, and love, right? So that trumps everything. That trumps the negative, the neighborhood expert, that trumps all the people around you. When people know, like, and love you, they're going to list with people that they feel comfortable
here's the thing about the whole neighborhood expert thing. There's these subdivisions that these agents dominate in. and a lot of agents stay away from those neighborhoods because they're like, oh, that agent's got it locked up. Let me tell you something. Number one, there's a lot of sellers in that neighborhood that hate that agent that's dominating that. There's a huge opportunity for two reasons. One, there's a lot of sellers who won't do business with that agent because they're arrogant or something. And and another good opportunity is the fact that agents are staying away from that subdivision. So it's actually less agents hitting that subdivision up. Those subdivisions are prime time for you to get in there, call, do some mail, whatever you do, and connect with those sellers, because those have been some of my best, subdivisions and complexes to hit, the ones that were dominated by other agents. So I'm speaking from experience.
Chadi, do you notice his ability, as we say in NLP, to reframe every situation, which is really what it's all about?
Yeah,
it's about one's ability. It's not about to be positive, because I know people like to overuse that word of be positive. It's his ability to reframe every situation to his advantage.
Yeah,
exactly.
Even throughout the whole entire thing, as I listen, and some people are aware of this for themselves. Some people are not aware of this for themselves. I mean, there's a strategy behind the strategy, and there's a lot of psychology in what he's saying. Whether I'm sure he dissected his script and his way of thinking and his way of being and his way of operating the business. There's a lot of psychology and a lot of strategy behind all of that. And that's something that a lot of people don't take the time out to really think about. And I think if anybody literally just sat down for 24 hours and did an audit on their lifestyle, did an audit on their business, did an audit on their thinking, did an audit on their marketplace, they can figure this shit out. It's not that difficult. You either want it or you don't. And if you want it, you got to do the work, whether you want to do the work or not. Do the work, get the results. Don't do the work, keep on complaining. It's on you. Ricky, this has been freaking damn awesome. I so appreciate your time, my friend. Anyone that's not already following Ricky, you definitely want to, he's all over YouTube, like 7 days a week on YouTube, 100%. Follow him on Instagram. Go to Zero to Diamond, download the books or buy the books, or however you want to get them. We're going to put all the links in our show notes at tlashow.com or shadybazzi.tv. That would be the place for you to get all the links for everything that Ricky has to offer. And again, my amazing friend, mentor, angel, Jessica. If you're not already following Jessica, the Mind Trainer, you definitely want to follow her on Instagram. She's got a new Facebook group that you can hit her up, and we'll put the links there as well for Jessica.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you guys.
Nice meeting you, Ricky.
I appreciate you.
Well, likewise. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, brother.